My name is Cyrus Delaney, and I think I stopped being myself somewhere between our 10th and 12th anniversary. Not all at once, just in pieces. Small, quiet pieces. I don't even know what made me notice it. There was no explosive fight, no shouting, no slammed doors or dramatic exits. Just a slow erosion, like waves eating away at a shoreline. At first, you don't even see it. Then one day, you look down and realize you're standing knee-deep in water where dry ground used to be. Lyndon and I were never flashy. We were the solid couple the kind friends said they admired. We paid our bills on time. We rotated who made dinner. We were the kind of people who high-fived in the grocery store when we found a good deal on blueberries. And I was okay with that. I was content, comfortable, grateful, even. But over the past year, I started to notice her silences. They weren't angry or cold, just absent. I'd talk to her about something small, a funny commercial, an email from work, and she'd nod with that polite, distracted smile. Her eyes would flick away, her fingers would trace her wine glass, and then the moment would pass, and I'd feel like I was talking to a reflection. Close but untouchable. It hurt quietly, persistently, like a low-grade fever that never breaks. The night she told me, it was raining, not heavily, just that soft, constant drizzle that makes the world feel smaller. She came home later than usual, hair damp, coat unzipped. She didn't say where she'd been, and I didn't ask. I was sitting on the couch holding a book I hadn't turned a page in for over an hour. When she walked past me, I looked up and said, "Hey, you okay?" She paused, turned. I'll never forget her face in that moment. Not scared, not angry, just tired, as if carrying something heavy for too long. Then she sat beside me and whispered the words that keep circling in my head like a cruel lullaby. "Cyrus, it was just a one-time mistake. It meant nothing. Our family shouldn't break apart over this." I didn't speak, not right away. I just watched the condensation trail down the window beside her and wondered how long she had been rehearsing those words. She didn't cry. I didn't yell. I think we both knew that grief doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it's quiet, still like a breath you can't quite catch. She told me it happened after a work conference, that it was someone from out of state, that it was meaningless, that she felt lonely, confused, out of sync with herself, that she never planned for it, and she regretted it the moment it was over. She kept saying, "Please don't let this undo everything we've built. You and me, June, the life we have, it's still real, Cyrus." I nodded. I don't know why I nodded. Maybe because I couldn't think. Maybe because I didn't want to unravel in front of her. Maybe because I'm just too scared to imagine life outside of us. But inside, I felt something shift. Not break, just tilt. The kind of tilt that sends a picture frame slowly sliding off the edge of a shelf. Couldn't sleep that night. I lay beside her in bed, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, wondering if she was dreaming about him, or if she was dreaming about a version of herself she didn't recognize anymore. A version I never saw coming. And me, I wasn't angry. Not exactly. I was hollow, like someone had scooped out the middle of my chest and left the shell behind. I kept replaying her words. It meant nothing. Then why did it feel like everything had changed? I don't know what comes next. I haven't told anyone. I haven't even cried. I just keep moving through each day like an actor who forgot his lines. Hitting marks, saying nothing. I still make her tea in the morning. Still remind June to bring her gym shoes. Still fold the towels the way she likes. Because even now, I don't know if I'm trying to hold on to our life or just pretending I still belong in it. There is something strange about how time moves when you're pretending nothing happened. The morning after her confession, I didn't cry. I didn't confront her again. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I opened the fridge and stared at a half-empty bottle of oat milk. I remember thinking we needed more eggs, that the trash hadn't been taken out, that June's school picture form was due that day. The mind is a strange protector. It shields you by numbing the part that wants to scream. I stood there barefoot in the kitchen, holding on to the handle of the refrigerator door like it could anchor me to a reality I still recognized. Lyndon walked in, her eyes puffy, mascara washed away from the night before, her robe hanging unevenly at the collar. She looked at me, and for a second, I thought she might say something, but she didn't. She just opened the cabinet, took down a mug, and made herself coffee like we weren't standing in the wreckage of something enormous and invisible. I watched her stir in the cream and cinnamon. She always adds cinnamon, and I hated her for that. For being able to return to routine, for pretending the walls hadn't shifted, for making it so easy to stand in the same room while my insides were rearranging themselves into shapes I no longer recognized. We didn't talk much that day. We moved around each other like old furniture, too familiar to notice, too heavy to shift. And I kept asking myself questions I didn't want answers to. Was she laughing with him? Did she touch his arm the way she used to touch mine? Did she come home afterward and kiss June goodnight with the same mouth? That night, after June went to bed and the house softened into silence, I sat on the porch. No light, no phone, just the old wooden swing and the creaking sound it makes when the wind brushes it. And I started thinking about the moment she first looked different to me. Not last week, years ago, maybe. Not in a bad way, just less reachable. Like the version of Lyndon I knew was standing somewhere just behind a thin veil I didn't know how to lift. I remember once, maybe 6 years ago, we went to an art exhibit together, something abstract, full of color and meaning I couldn't decipher. Lyndon stood in front of one painting for almost 10 minutes without saying a word. I joked, "I don't get it. It just looks like chaos." She turned to me, smiled gently and said, "Exactly. It's everything I feel but can't name." I didn't know what she meant back then, but now I think I do. I didn't sleep again. I lay on the couch and stared at the ceiling fans spinning in slow circles. And in those circles, I saw us cycling through the years, the smiles, the milestones, while somewhere beneath it all something was leaking. I'm not angry, not in the way people expect. Something different, something quieter. Like standing in an empty parking lot after everyone's left the party and realizing you didn't even notice them go. And now there's just this space, this wide, echoing space where her laughter used to be, where our conversations used to live, where I used to feel chosen. I haven't decided what to do. I don't even know how to begin deciding because she says it meant nothing. But I'm beginning to think that I might be the one who means nothing now. There's a room in our house we never use. It was supposed to be an office, then maybe a guest room, then maybe a music space, though I don't play music. Lyndon said she'd turn it into something hers one day. That day never came. Now it just sits there, door half closed, collecting dust in corners, housing a folded yoga mat, a lamp without a bulb, an unopened box with her name still printed on the shipping label. I stood in that doorway this morning. I didn't go in, just stood. There was something strange about the stillness. Not peaceful, just suspended. Like even the air didn't know what to do with itself. She passed behind me with a laundry basket. Didn't say a word. I didn't either. We've become experts at that passing. One breath before the other. One task before the next. No sound, no eye contact, just motion. Like two people acting out the final days of something neither of us has named yet. Last night, I dreamed I was trying to call her. My fingers were pressing the numbers, but they were all wrong. Over and over. Wrong code, wrong digits. The screen wouldn't light up. And when I looked up, she was standing across the street talking to someone else. I woke up and the pillow was wet. I don't know what's worse, the silence we live in or the kindness she uses to patch it. This morning, she left a cup of tea on my desk. Same way I used to do for her. Felt too heavy to drink. I stared at it until it went cold. There's no map for this. No instruction manual for what to do when the person who knew all your stories suddenly becomes the stranger living next to you. There's no dramatic soundtrack. No moment of clarity. Just the slow realization that even shared spaces can feel foreign. And, the worst part, she thinks I'm healing. She thinks I'm moving forward because I've stopped bringing it up, but I haven't stopped feeling it. It lives under everything now. She hums again in the kitchen, in the hallway, in the garden. It's not the tune that bothers me. It's the ease. Like, maybe somehow she's found a way to live with it, and I haven't. Maybe I never will. The table has 4 chairs. She still sits across from me. June sits between us. She doesn't notice. Or maybe she does. Maybe she's better at pretending. The dishwasher clicks open. She hums again. That same tune. I still don't know what it is. The bed creaks when she rolls over. I count the seconds between her breathing. 5, 7, 13. Still awake. I want to ask if she thinks about him, but what would that even fix? The candle on the counter is new. Smells like sage and something artificial. I told her I liked it. I didn't mean it. It makes the house smell like a place I don't recognize. My wedding band feels heavier now. I twist it when I'm nervous. I twist it constantly. I read an article yesterday. 10 ways to rebuild trust after a marriage crisis. I got to number 2. Stopped there. My coworkers don't ask questions. I keep showing up, so I must be fine. I keep showing up. She texted me at noon. Don't forget milk. No smiley face. No kiss emoji. Just milk. I bought 2 cartons. I didn't ask why. There's a photo of us on the bookshelf. It's from Hilton Head. I'm holding her hand. She's laughing. I'm looking at her. Sometimes I stare at it and wonder how long ago that version of me died. She still wears her hair up like she did that night. The night she said it. It was just a one-time mistake. It meant nothing. I said nothing in return. Not really. Not the words that matter. I brush against her shoulder when we pass in the hallway. She flinches less now. I think that's supposed to mean progress, but progress feels like drowning slower. Sometimes I watch her blink. Sounds strange, I know, but it changed. It used to be slower, more thoughtful, like her mind paused between emotions. Now it's quick, mechanical, like she's trying not to feel too much at once. I wonder if she's scared. I'll notice the moments when her expression slips, when the guilt creeps across her face before she pushes it back behind that well-practiced softness. But the thing is, I do notice. I notice everything now. I didn't used to. I trusted the rhythm we had. It was steady. Maybe boring, but it was honest. Or at least it felt that way. I didn't tell her how I felt the night she said it. It was just a one-time mistake. It meant nothing. I just nodded. Not because I believed her, but because I wasn't ready to stop believing in everything else. In us, in our story, in the years, in the smell of her shampoo, in the sound of June laughing down the hall. I thought if I stayed calm, I could buy myself time. But time doesn't pause just because you're panicking quietly. Keeps moving. It pushes you further from the place you recognize until you're sitting in your own living room wondering when it stopped feeling like home. She asked me tonight if I was okay. Not gently, cautiously, like someone testing the floorboards before stepping forward. I told her I was tired. That wasn't a lie. I am tired, but not the kind of tired sleep can fix. It's a deeper exhaustion. The weight of too many unspoken things sitting in my chest. I'm tired of pretending I'm not hurting. Tired of wondering if she thinks about him when she waters the plants. Tired of waking up before my alarm just so I can sit in the bathroom and collect myself before the day begins. June had a school presentation this week. She asked if both of us could come. We did. We smiled, clapped, posed for a photo afterward. Her teacher told us she's thoughtful and observant. And I couldn't help but wonder, does she observe us the same way? Does she see the subtle stiffness in the way we stand side by side now? The space between our arms, the pauses before we speak to one another? Or is she still young enough to believe in the version of her parents that existed last year? Before Lyndon said the one sentence that made the walls around my heart crumble, I started keeping a notebook. Not a journal, just a place where I write things I can't say out loud. It's mostly questions. Would she have told me if she hadn't been caught? Does she feel relief or regret? If it didn't mean anything, why do I feel like it stole everything from me? Does she miss me? Not the person I am now, but the version of me she once chose. And here's the one that haunts me. If I had done the same, would she forgive me the way she's asking me to forgive her? I still don't have the answers. I'm not sure I ever will. Some days I feel almost normal. We make dinner, watch something mindless on TV, talk about replacing the upstairs light fixtures. But even then, there's a part of me that stays disconnected, like I'm observing our marriage from the outside. Two people playing house, holding on to what they can salvage. There's no one to blame now. Not really. She told me the truth. I stayed. That was my choice. But staying doesn't mean healing. Staying doesn't mean forgetting. Staying doesn't mean trust magically returns just because the door never closed. I wonder if she knows how quiet I've become on the inside. I used to think in colors, memories, songs, conversations. Now my thoughts are more like fog. Not quite here, not quite gone, just drifting. She kissed my cheek goodnight earlier. Her lips were warm, familiar. But when I closed my eyes, I didn't feel safe. I felt paused, like I was holding my breath, still unsure if the version of me that once lived so openly in this home can ever return. It's been 26 days. I haven't marked them on a calendar or anything. I just know. It's in my body, that kind of memory. My stomach started reacting to coffee again. That's how I really knew things weren't okay. It's strange what your body remembers when your mind tries to move on. Every morning, I pour the same blend, take the same mug from the cupboard, and my hand shakes the tiniest bit as I bring it to my mouth. I don't flinch because I think about what she did. I flinch because I still don't know what to do with it, where to store it, what shelf it belongs on in the back of my mind where I keep things I'm afraid to touch. Lyndon asked me tonight if I'd thought about going somewhere. Just the two of us. She said it softly, without expectation, like she was testing the weight of the words before committing to them. A weekend away. Maybe the mountains, somewhere quiet. No pressure, she said. Just a chance to breathe. But I don't know how to breathe in front of her anymore. That's the thing. I feel like I inhale shallowly around her, like the air doesn't reach my lungs all the way, like I'm bracing for something I don't even understand yet. I told her I'd think about it. That was a lie. I won't. I don't want to pack a bag and smile beside her in a place that doesn't carry history. I'm still trying to understand what's left of our own. I've been having entire conversations with her in my head. Not angry ones, not even sad, just incomplete. I imagine us sitting at the table or lying on opposite ends of the couch or driving through some foggy stretch of highway while the radio plays too low to hear. And in these moments, I ask the questions I can't ask out loud. Not because I'm afraid of her answers. I think I already know them, but because I'm afraid of how calmly she might deliver them. Afraid that her softness is no longer softness but detachment dressed as grace. In one of these fake conversations, I ask her if she missed me when she was with him. Not physically, emotionally. Did she think about my face? My laugh? The way I write notes on the grocery list so she finds something silly next to the bananas? In the version that plays out in my head, she tilts her head, thoughtful, not cruel, and she says, I didn't think of anything. I just disappeared for a moment. I floated. That's what I think hurts the most. Not the act, not the hotel room, not the lie, but that she had the ability to float out of this life. Our life, while I was still anchored in it. Still folding towels, still checking if we were out of toothpaste, still waiting up for her to get home. The guilt she carries looks different than mine. Hers is hidden beneath effort. Dinner cooked early, flowers in a vase on a Tuesday, music playing softly while she folds laundry. But mine isn't in what I do. It's in what I no longer say, in what I hold back, in the way I respond to her with half interest. Because the part of me that used to leap toward her now stumbles. I think people assume when someone cheats, it's the love that dies first. But that's not what happened here. Love's still present, quiet, beaten, but breathing. What died or what's dying is the safety, the simplicity, the unguarded space between words where comfort used to live. Tonight, she brushed her fingers along my shoulder as she passed me in the kitchen. I flinched, not because I didn't want it, but because for a brief second I didn't recognize it. Her touch used to be grounding. Now it feels like a memory trying to find its way home. I haven't told anyone about what happened. Not family, not friends, not even the barista at the corner cafe who once asked if I was okay because I zoned out for a full minute holding exact change in my hand. I said I was just tired. That's the new script, just tired. But really, I'm lost in a version of my life that I didn't expect. Where everything looks the same but nothing feels like it did. Where I keep looking at her and wondering if I'm supposed to learn how to love her all over again or mourn the version of her I'll never get back. The living room still smells like citrus from the cleaner she uses every Sunday morning. That hasn't changed. The cushions on the couch are always fluffed the same way. The plants by the windowsill still turn their leaves toward the sun the way they did the day before she told me. I don't know why that bothers me. Maybe it's because I thought something would look different by now. Maybe I wanted something in the house to admit what happened, to crack, to shift, to betray some sign of the storm underneath the calm. But the house stays still, familiar, predictable, like it's refusing to acknowledge that anything fell apart inside it. And yet it did. Not loudly, not all at once, but in small moments that now sit in the quiet between us. I notice how she sets her fork down with more care, how she closes cabinets without letting them slam. Her movements are lighter, quieter, more deliberate, as if she's worried about causing noise that might set something off. That's what guilt looks like in her. It's in the way she waits a little longer before speaking or how she watches my face when I read, trying to guess if I'm still somewhere far from her. The nights are the strangest part. We still sleep in the same bed. That was her idea. She said she wanted things to feel normal again. I agreed, not because I wanted the same, but because I was too afraid of how unnatural everything already felt. The distance between us in bed is only a few inches, but some nights it feels like miles. We both lie on our sides, facing away, the room thick with the things neither of us dares say. I can hear her breathing when she finally drifts off, soft, steady, like she's learning how to live next to me all over again. I wish I could do the same. Sometimes I wake up before the sun rises and just lie there watching the ceiling shift from darkness to blue. That's when my thoughts are loudest, before the world starts making noise, before the clatter of dishes or the hum of the washing machine drowns them out. I think about the version of her that existed before she changed our story. The Lyndon who used to press her nose into my shoulder and whisper things only I was supposed to hear. I wonder if that version of her is gone, or if she's just hiding behind all the words she hasn't found the courage to say. We've started doing things together again. Errands, small walks around the block, watching mindless shows we don't even talk about afterward. It feels like maintenance, like tending to something that's cracked but still functional. I smile at the right moments. I say thanks when she hands me a bowl. I even laughed once last week when she made a joke about my terrible handwriting. And for a few seconds, I felt the tiniest flicker of warmth. But it passed. Not because it wasn't real, but because it didn't feel like mine. It's strange how something can survive technically, but not emotionally. Our marriage is intact on paper. No one outside this house knows the difference. June still comes home to both parents. The neighbors still wave to us as a pair. The world sees a unit, but inside me, there's a fracture that hasn't healed. Not even close. And the hardest part is that I'm no longer angry. I'm exhausted, not just from what she did, but from what I'm pretending not to feel. She asked me today if I'd be willing to see someone together, a counselor. Maybe. She said it with hesitation, like she already expected me to say no. I didn't say no. I didn't say yes either. I just told her I needed time. What I didn't tell her is that I don't want a stranger to help us translate the silence we built. I want her to speak first. I want her to tell me why she did it. Not the short version, not the tidy, I felt disconnected explanation. I want the messy truth, the human one, the version of her that didn't flinch when she crossed the line. But maybe that's selfish. Maybe people don't owe us the full truth, only the parts they're strong enough to carry. Maybe expecting her to hurt out loud is another way of punishing her for what she already regrets. Or maybe, and this is the part that keeps me up at night, maybe she's already told me everything and I just don't like the simplicity of it. That it didn't mean anything. That it was a mistake. That it's over. I don't know what happens next. I'm still here, still drinking the same coffee, still folding towels, still watching the same woman move through the same home with hands that once reached for me with such certainty. But now everything feels quieter. Not peaceful, just muffled. Like life has been padded with something that keeps the sharp edges from cutting too deep. We are still married. We are still strangers. And I don't know if either of us knows which part is more true. This morning, the light looked different. Not symbolic or dramatic, just softer. It spilled across the hardwood like it belonged there. I was already awake, sitting at the dining table before anyone else stirred, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold, but still felt warm in my hands. I didn't hear her walk in, but when I looked up, there she was, Lyndon, hair a little messy, sweatshirt sleeves pushed up, eyes unsure, but calm. She stood in the doorway like someone waiting to be invited into their own home. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not because I felt ready to forgive everything, but because I was tired of holding pain in front of my face like a shield. She sat down across from me. No makeup, no prepared speech, no safety net, just her. For a while, neither of us said a word, but it didn't feel like silence anymore. It felt like space, like something was finally opening. Then she spoke. I didn't know how lost I was, Cyrus. Not until I crossed that line. I don't expect you to understand it. I don't even fully understand it, but I never stopped loving you. Not for a second. And I've hated myself for hurting you more than I've ever hated anything. I stayed quiet, but not because I didn't want to respond. I just needed to feel those words without rushing past them. She continued, slower now. I've been selfish, but I haven't been blind. I know you've been hurting, and the fact that you stayed, not because you had to, but because you were willing to sit with that pain instead of throwing it back at me, that's something I don't deserve. But it's something I'll never take for granted again. It wasn't a dramatic moment. There was no music playing, no sudden embrace, no tearful reconciliation. But something shifted. I felt my shoulders lower, like I'd been carrying something I could finally begin to set down. I looked her in the eyes, really looked, and said, I'm still here because I want to be. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because I believe we're more than the worst thing we've been through. She reached across the table. Not fast, not desperate, just honest. Her fingers brushed mine, and I didn't pull away this time. Later that day, we sat on the back porch with June between us, eating cut fruit and talking about nothing in particular. She told us a story from school, something about a teacher falling off a rolling chair, and we laughed together. The kind of laugh that feels accidental but deeply human. It didn't fix everything, but it cracked something open, and that crack let a little light in. We're planning to see someone, a counselor, not because we're broken, but because we finally understand we need help finding a new language to speak to each other in, one built after the fall. There are still moments when the old weight returns. Still nights when I wake up and remember everything. But now, when that happens, I reach for her hand instead of retreating. Sometimes she's already reaching for mine. This isn't a fairy tale ending. There's no ribbon on the story, but there is movement. There is effort. There is grace. And most of all, there is choice. We are choosing each other again, not because we forgot the pain, but because we're learning how to carry it together.